What's up, friends? It's your girl Sarah from Sarah Styles here. We are going to be talking sneakers, all things reselling, but I have two sneakerheads here who are just crushing it in the sneaker game. So come ready with questions for them. I have a whole list already. But we were talking backstage real quick about how we were resellers before we were even like resellers. And I was getting ready to tell a story, and then we're going live. So I'm going to tell it real quick. So when I was 16, I bought a car. It was $500. It would turn off as you were driving it. You'd have to kick it to turn back on. A POS. Like, it was awful, but it was a convertible and it was real cute. It was a Volkswagen Rabbit. So I bought it for $500. I drove it for a year and had another job and made money. I flipped it. So I bought it for $500 and sold it for $1,750. And so my dad's always like, that's you. You're a reseller. You're a hustler from the beginning. Like, you have been doing this. And I think most people, let us know if you guys are in the comments, if you have been a reseller or kind of a hustler forever. If you guys do not know, I have Ken and Kenny here. So I will let you guys introduce yourselves. The Hustle Bee has been on before. Both of them have amazing social media. So definitely follow. It is down in the description. As I wait for everyone to kind of hop on, let me know who's here in the comments. And then we'll start with you, Ken. Let you introduce yourself a little bit and then we'll get down to Kenny.
Yeah, sure. My name is Ken, also known as the Hustle Bee on Instagram, TikTok, and whatnot. I sell sneakers and streetwear. Started my journey in eBay, but now heavily in whatnot.
So live sales. We were talking about that backstage too. I think we're going to talk a little bit. Let me know in the chat if you guys want to talk live sales, but I know where it's headed. I think for sneakers too, right? All right, Kenny, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Kenny. I go handles wealthy hostages. A lot of people that may see me that may be on there. I'm also King Kenny 123, but right now I'm using wealthy hostages as my main page.
That's it. And sneakers, only sneakers.
Yeah,
Both of you know, Ken, I know you do some other stuff, mainly sneakers, but you do other stuff too.
Yeah,
yeah, I do. Go ahead,
clothing.
Ken.
Just call me B.
I know.
Okay.
I make it confusing. Okay, B. I'll call you B. I don't. This is just
Yeah,
gonna get confusing. You guys are gonna have to hold on for it.
you're
No,
good.
I don't.
Okay, so B does other things, clothing and stuff as well. Kenny, are you just
I do
sneakers?
clothing. I do anything that has a dollar amount, but mostly I go for the sneakers and yeah. So sneakers, the clothing, and merch, like because merch sells really good.
Okay, and you're on. I'm sorry if you already said this, but you're on eBay, or are you on?
I'm
Where?
on right now. I'm on Macari. I'm on Poshmark. I am on eBay. I'll have to link the stores. I have to look for the thing, but yeah. So I'm on those three. The platform that I sell the most on right now is definitely Macari. I've been selling pretty well on Macari for a while.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I would have thought eBay. Okay, so let's get into I want to talk a little bit of live sales because I did my first one yesterday and I know Ken kills it on the live sales. We're talking a little bit about this behind. And I think sneakers definitely has led the way in getting it to where it's at right now for resellers, right? Like with Whatnot. And Whatnot came over, right, for collectibles, but then
Yeah,
sneakers,
for
I think,
sports
right?
cards. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then sneakers is pretty heavy in it right now
yeah,
too, right?
yeah.
So what is your experience? I know I've had you on before, so pretend like we haven't talked about this for people
Yeah,
who
I mean,
haven't. But so what's your experience? Because you're on eBay, you're on Whatnot. How is
yeah.
it comparing to each other for
Well, this year have I've leaned in heavily with whatnot live selling. It is just something that fascinated me, and I kind of like understood the concept of it. Just worldview, it's very big in Asia. So I figured that I'd try to learn it because eventually I believe that we're gonna head there someday. I saw it as a really good brand building platform. So to give you a perspective, an eBay, I have about a 3,000 item store, and sell through rate is around 10%. But what I discovered with live selling, right? Everything you put there sells, so 100% sell through, but not necessarily the amount of profit that you would make. So give or take. So I find eBay as a very high ROI, lower sell through kind of strategy, but on whatnot, it's a very 100% sell through, but not a very high ROI. So pick your poison, right?
like how big of a difference are we talking here?
I would say plus minus 15%. So it could swing both ways. Only, yeah, because we're talking about auction, right?
Yeah. But that's not terrible if you're talking
No,
100%
no,
return.
no, it's not. Yeah, it's not terrible. Right, right.
I
So
mean, you're losing a little bit, but right. I mean, I'm thinking if you're only making $2 an item or something, then you're like,
yeah,
"Okay, is it worth it?" But 15%.
yeah. So
So what's
it's
your strategy right now? What are you putting on eBay versus what's
so right now, like I mean, the market's kind of down within the last, I would say, 60 days for high-end sneakers. So a lot of the high-end sneakers don't yield as much. So my strategy right now is, staying within 50 to $500 range instead of going to the $500 to $3,000 sneakers.
this just blows my mind. That's one of my questions is what your highest
Yeah.
it like the sneakers is just ridiculous. So why do you guys think the market's down? Because we're coming into quarter 4, right? So that should be better.
Kenny,
Yeah. Any ideas?
I
what do you
I
think, Kenny?
I, I think there's but I've always thought this when they're producing too many items. Like every week, something else is coming out. There was a time where it was 18 pairs a year of like 18 Jordans a year, or like so you had a little bit of time to recuperate, but you
Mhm.
also had a time like there was a weight behind it. Like, okay, in 2 months this shoe's coming out. You actually waited. You were, excited. There was the lines to go. There was a passion behind it. Now everybody and their mother is a sneaker reseller. 'Cause, like,
Are
respectfully.
they
So
pushing out a lot for, like, the holidays and stuff? Do they like, is that how sneakers work? Like, I'm thinking video games. My husband's real big into video
Right.
games, and they always release, like, the new console and the new video game and
Hmm.
right before the holidays. Is that sneakers, or how do they release the sneakers?
well, the next thing that I know people are waiting for, Black Friday shoe. And then there's the Christmas retro that comes out. So that's really the next two pairs. But those two times seem to work out really good for me because I always have a variety of like pre-owned items. So the pre-owned items, as soon as somebody can't get the one that came out, they'll have to come by. Like they'll come by the pre-owned, even if it's a year behind, because they have to have something for that, for the kid, for themselves, or whatever it is. So
So Anne is asking, and this kind of goes along with it, do sneakers have a large holiday boost? Do you anticipate? I mean, typically speaking, do you guys see a boost in the holidays? It's just slow right
Yeah,
di-
there is definitely a holiday boost. I mean, it is considered your big present, so
yeah,
the
Yeah,
two.
for 200, $500,000.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like retail is at 200 right now, plus
yeah,
minus. And then reseller markup, it could be 250 to 500. So it depends on how hard it gets. But I think going back to like the market being down, I think it's a combination of both. We just got out of the whole supply shortage. Sneakers being an imported product, right? It's made outside of, I mean, it's technically not imported, but you get what I'm saying. The factories are not in here, so there was a backlog of products that didn't get here, and factories got shut down. And then when factories got back up, supply came in, but by the time it gets here, right, mind you, takes 30 days for a container to get here from Asia, and by the time it gets here, stimulus money were gone, right? All
Yeah.
those money depleted, and now being in the luxury industry, right? That's the first thing that gets cut down. So that's the reason why, like, even sneaker stores right now are not buying sneakers that are over $1,000. It's because they can't move it. So people have to settle down, like luxury in a way. When people could spend 500 to a thousand per pair, now they have to cut back, spending 200 to 500 per pair.
And they wear these shoes on their feet. Like, 'cause
yeah.
I know handbags. Handbag, you're not, like, walking on dirt.
Right.
I would not
Yeah.
like, you're $1,000 to wa you can obviously tell I'm not a sneakerhead.
Well,
It,
there,
like,
there,
blows my mind,
Yeah.
right? Like
there's also like so. I mean, not everybody does it, but that's a money maker for me is the whole protection. So actually a really good friend of mine, Kalichi, does sneaker restorations. He's actually my partner on my sneaker cleaner, and
his
you
what's his
you can uh Kalichi. I'm gonna look it up right
I mean,
now.
he,
So
like, does, like, videos and stuff on how he
yeah,
uses
he does all the
shows
videos and
up,
stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So you can, when you buy something like that, you can put a protector on it. Like there's sole protectors. So there's people that do that. Like when they buy those
Oh,
expensive shoes, you can put it so you can walk on the ground and then you can rip it off afterwards.
but even like the top of it and stuff.
Oh yeah, there'll
Well,
be creases and stuff like that. Yeah, I think
yeah.
sneakers are like cars. As soon as they
Hmm.
get off the lot, 20% off of what you paid for, you lose.
But
Oh, so they don't gain resale
ah,
value, right?
I
Like if
mean,
you're
some,
certain ones.
some do.
some,
It depends
yeah,
on, you know what, time, time, and the time and the actual shoe depends. Because I've worn shoes, and because I bought it pre-owned, I've been able to sell it for more than what I bought it for. But I
Yeah.
also have the strategy of buy low, sell high, but still lower than retail.
Well, and you know, right? You know what to buy. So
Yeah,
let's get into that as much as you guys are willing to share. Obviously, this is your business. So I don't want you sharing everything because you're making a business off of it, but things that you're willing to share. If you are out, I mean, you're following from what I'm listening to, you're following the new releases, right? Like these new drops or whatever. But as far as other than that, how do you find like are you doing I know you do mostly new attacks, B. Do you go to thrift stores and shop as
no,
well?
I mostly do brand new.
So how do you decide what to buy that you can share it with us to help like people who are getting into sneakers because it's very
Yeah,
overwhelming.
yeah, like I think that's the biggest thing with sneakers is the cost of entry or the barrier of entry. If you're not a sneakerhead, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're a sneakerhead, you already know that. So one of the things is really you have to learn the trend. I think that's the biggest thing. And I've seen other people that are trying to get into business. I mean, it's a very good business. It's just a matter of are you really willing to immerse? I think that's the key word, immersion in the community. If you're not immersed, it's very hard to read sneakers. So I could tell you all the check sold listings and stuff like that, but realistically, there's really no sold listings before the sneaker drops unless there are early release pairs. So I think, trends always going to be there, and you could always look back at how a shoe has done before because Jordan typically usually re-releases a pair within 4 to 6 years. So there is a pair that's coming out this November that the last time it released a very similar colorway was 2015. So it took them 7 years. So the 2015 pair is at $1,000 now already. So now pre-selling on this November drop have been at 1,200 at one point, but now getting closer to the drop, it has gone down, and then that's bearing really nobody really knows how much they're gonna release, right? So rumors, this is gonna be the most of its colorway that are ever gonna be released. So it's a lot of kind of like stock market predicting
Yeah.
because at least
So
stock market will tell you how many there are.
yeah. You say immerse. How does one immerse? Like are there websites? Am I following certain YouTuber? Like how does one I mean, obviously don't give away your
Yeah, yeah. No,
but anything that you can like to immerse in something, I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to
right.
start
I mean, I think
to
it's
learn
just
about
really one is following resellers that are, giving out education, like in YouTube Hustler Hacks. That's how I learned a lot of it. And
yeah.
then following influencers, TikTok and all that stuff. And not only that, just going to events, reading how the events responds to a certain shoe. So how the prices have gone up or have gone down, and there are other apps like StockX is probably, Kenny probably could agree that a lot of people base the value on StockX because it's a very user friendly app that people could
yeah.
tell the market and how a shoe has performed over the last X amount of days. So there is sold listings there that you could tell, but that's only applicable to a shoe that has released and has a history. But to predict something that hasn't dropped yet, that's that really where experience comes from.
And they don't tell you either, right? They just like
No, yeah.
give you like little tidbits to get the yeah. So it's not like I'm thinking back to like, I don't know, 20 years ago to date myself where like you're standing outside on a drop. Now it's all online, right? So how do you get
It
I
is
know
all online
so how do
for the
because
most
this is
part.
what I'm imagining and tell me if I'm incorrect. But if resellers are getting some of these new drops, they're getting multiple pairs and then selling them at a higher price, right?
Yeah.
For the new drops. So how do you get past like the because you've got to have like bot protectors and do you have like multiple people on different I mean, don't tell me all your secrets if you can't, but like I'm just like so interested in how this all works. Like do you have people on different computers or you're just buying one pair and hoping that you get it? You're up at midnight waiting. Like how does it work?
So for me, Hustle B will be able to talk on that more. I actually do. I want to say 95% of my business is pre-owned,
Okay.
pre-owned and collect. Because what happens is pre-owned allows me to number one not headache about if I miss a drop or something. So if I get lucky and I haven't done a new release in maybe like 2 years. I haven't really gone after new releases to resell. But the pre-owned, when it comes to the certain amount of the certain shoe, I buy collections off of people that are like, okay, I'm not collecting sneakers anymore. All right, we'll go in, I'll look, give them a price, yes or no. I know how much it is per pair. I know how much I can sell each pair at to double, triple, or quadruple my money real fast. Like I'm like in and out when
So
it
when
comes
you're
down
buying
to it.
collections, like what are you looking for? Like I mean, I know you've been doing this forever, but let's say
When
someone
I'm buying somebody's collection, I'm looking to get it like under $50 a pair. Like I'm looking at that sweet
oh, your
spot,
cost your
25.
cost is $50. Oh,
Yeah, like
Unused.
yeah,
yeah.
on used items, I try to go as low as possible. Like
And you guys like, so you're saying $50 is low, and I'm thinking like my cost of goods is $5. So I'm
well,
like,
no,
50
my
is so high,
no,
but
my cost of goods for thrift items is definitely under 10 when it comes to shoes. I really push for that, but when it comes to people's collections, especially, these are sometimes these sneakers are like 10, 15 years old, but they're sought after items. So you go in, like somebody had one of the best ones that I did. I want to say he gave me something like 70 pairs for like $350. He really needed the cash.
yeah.
And
And
I
I'm thinking
like
if they're collectors that they probably are in good condition.
great condition. Like I didn't like almost half of them I didn't even have to like clean up.
Yeah.
Like I always check all the shoes. I didn't even have to clean them up. And like that was like instantly I made my money back on the way back from picking it up. Like I had already made a post and like I have different lists in my phone. So I have people that wear size 11, people that wear size 12, 13. Like I have a size chart and there's different contacts in it. And I'll shoot a text, hey, all these size 9, this is the price. And like I'm trying to get it and go, get it and go.
So, and what I'm noticing too with the sneaker sellers that I've talked to, because B, I know that you have a following as well, that you've built up. So it's not just sell, like to me, I just sell women's clothing, and maybe I have a couple of people who buy from me repeatedly. But you guys are like hitting this collector's level, right? Like where you have people who come after you and have these sought after. It's not just random. I mean, some of it's random, but like you're building up like followings, right? Like that's how you're getting. That's where a lot of these sneaker sellers are making
Yeah.
money, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they want to sell to somebody that they trust, right? And I think a part of that is like it's kind of like if I'm not gonna make money on this, I'd rather have him make money. So that is the biggest thing about like even locally. That is you have to be established buyer locally that you pay well. You might not make the most money off the rip. I mean, one of the things that, like I tell everybody, go for a long-term relationship, right?
Mhm.
Um, this might be a
100%.
break even buy or just a 10% profit for this first purchase. But if it's a constant supply, and next thing you know, they, like because they wouldn't want to deal with random people all the time, right? Like especially like now, like my buyouts right now are like between $3,000 to $10,000, and then now they want cash. Like
Yeah,
like who will they trust to give them real money, right? Or not get robbed, right?
yeah.
So obviously, I think the the following, right? And if you're public out there, I'm not gonna ruin my rep saying like, oh, Hustlebee gave me, a fake $100 bill.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing there. That I think when you're big buying bulk purchases, I think that's where really like reliability comes into play. Like, are you that person that's gonna have cash ready, right? Because some buyers are like, oh, I, I could buy it next week, but the person that's selling it now, needs the money now. So, are you that person that could provide that? So,
So how does one get to that level? Because what I'm hearing, like from both of you, I'm hearing one, you need to know sneakers. So like
mhm,
immerse into it
yeah,
and learn the trends. But then it's also sounding like you need capital, right? Like,
yeah,
and
it's
so not everyone has $10,000 cash to drop. Like, how do
no.
you start off slow and build
I mean,
up?
it's really like when I started, it was my eBay journey was $30 flipped
I
for
was about to,
60.
yeah, I was about to say, so like that book that I wrote, it's really like that book is made for the like the starter. It's really like you buy that one pair and you keep flipping. There's a kid. I used to have sneaker. I actually hosted sneaker events in Florida when I was living there, and there was this kid. He bought a pair of sneakers off of me for $50. He flipped that $50 sneaker at the show in 4 hours, 5 times. He flipped it for a little bit more money. He used more money and bought another shoe from somebody else. Flipped that for a little
Oh,
bit more cash.
okay.
Throughout the show, he walked out of the show with $300.
Smart. It's reminding me of that video that went viral on YouTube where the guy starts with a penny and by
Yep.
like the end of a week or a month or something, he bought a house, right? Like he just kept moving on
Yeah.
up. We do have a couple questions, so let's hang out in the chat. Thank you everyone for joining. Anna's asking, if you guys don't follow Anna, definitely follow her. She comes on every Friday and we talk all things reselling. Lots of good information comes out of that. All three of you guys are generous with sharing your experience and info. How do you view creating competition versus being an open book when it comes to teaching, sharing your ways? It's a good question.
I
Um,
think if whatever I advise, okay, whatever I tell people, I am 100% confident that I'm top 10% of doing it the best. Because if
I
I'm giving you an
yeah, I'm
advice
gonna
and I'm
agree.
terrible at it, you're gonna crush me.
Yeah, I agree. Like when it comes to selling pre-owned items, like my eye for what I'm selling. For instance, like the shoe that I showed you earlier. Like I said, the people that sell just what Hustlebee sells, and not to say he's like in one area, but like there are
Yeah.
people that are in one area. They only sell those shoes because that's what they know as
Yeah.
well. So I've taken the time to go and learn 50 or 60 different brands because running shoes, like Hoka ones, like I can buy Hokas all day at the thrift store for $5 and they sell for $45 all day.
Consistent.
Like I usually don't even keep them more than 1 or 2 days. And like Hoka's on Cloud, any of those running shoes. There's certain number New Balances. There's certain number New Balances. I just give a call when I get them in. Like, hey, I got a bunch of 608s in. Do you want them? And so
You're
like
speaking like a whole different language right now for the rest of us out there. I know Ken is like shaking his head like
I
he's
mean,
got to,
if
but
you
the
think
rest
about
of
it,
us are like,
if you think about it though, it's like your Lululemon,
yeah, yeah.
right? Let's
yeah,
say if you hit a whole buyout for Lululemon, like you can get rid of it so fast, so quick. So I think
Right.
that's where we live in the category we're in. That we call them, they're just hotcakes. They'll flip. They'll sell. They just move so
Well,
fast.
and
Go
what
ahead.
I view too with sharing information, it's twofold. Obviously, I'm in a different niche than you, but I share information. And one, it's about consistency. And I think we are talking a little bit about this backstage. Like we can share information, but unless you
Mhm.
do the hustle, it's not going to do
Yeah.
anything for you. Right.
yeah,
And I know both of you are hustlers and I'm a hustler as well. Like it's the consistency. And by time I'm sharing something with you, I'm already leveling up, not like in a negative way. I'm not
Yeah.
sharing with you the thing, but if I am sharing something with you, I'm already like 10 steps ahead. Do you know what I mean? Like not
Yeah.
intentionally not sharing where I'm
no,
at,
but
but like by
it's
the time
like a
I'm to the
learning
point that I can
process.
share it with you, I'm learning something new, right?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
and I
Um,
think that the learning is the biggest thing. I tell people that all the time. Like I learned all these brands. Like the other day, I picked up a pair of shoes I've never seen, and when I go on their website, they retail like $300. Every last one of them.
yeah.
So
And you have that eye too, right? So no matter how much you teach someone something, you guys just have that
Yeah.
eye and you've been doing it for so long that you're just always going to be one step ahead because of that. We do have a couple more questions. Do you guys have a sell-through rate you shoot for with shoes? So I know Ken B does new tags mainly. So your
Mhm.
sell-through rate may differ a little bit between Ken B.
Yeah, so for me it's in eBay, I'm shooting for 10% sell through um per month um out of all my inventory. And then on hype sneakers, I I I try to flip in within 100% sell through within a month.
Really?
Yeah, on hype sneakers, yeah.
if
Because
What does hype sneakers mean? Like those
like
are the newest.
yeah,
the
like the
ones that
newest
people are
releases.
sought after,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
the very sought after, because there's another one that's coming up, so it could easily hurt that next shoe. The next shoe
hmm
could hurt the previous shoe,
Uh,
and
so you would
obviously,
rather get rid of it before the new shoe
yeah,
comes.
you wanna catch it at its peak before it goes down again. I'm not saying it's not gonna go up, but it'll take time to go back there again. So for
So you're
example, like
getting stuff listed quick then too, right? Like you want it
well,
on there
yeah,
quick.
yeah, 100%. Like I
Yeah.
mean, like again, like I might have already buyers for them before I even get them.
yeah. You see how like I've made it where I may have a higher sell through rate. My goal is almost 50% of the stuff that I buy because I don't want to keep that much stuff at one time unless I'm getting prepared for shows like this year. I plan to go to every sneaker event possible. So I do
Well, you'll
plan to
see
keep
Ken there because he's at all of
yeah, yeah, I
Where are you
plan to
based out
keep
of again?
say it again.
What city you're in?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Oh, Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm trying like so I've traveled a lot and there's a lot of places. I also have people that help me source a little bit because Plato's Closet has been amazing for
Yeah.
sourcing. And some
like
of the
you go there and
stores
buy from them or the people that work there.
actually I have a relationship with 5 stores
Yeah.
where when they get stuff in, when they're in taking it, they'll send me a photo and I can actually pay for it, like via like a Venmo type of deal, and send. I could send a label, or they can make a label, and they'll ship it to me. I built a relationship like that with some of the
So
stores.
they buy it from someone who comes in
Uh, yeah, and then they
and then
have their price.
they
Yeah,
upsell it to you, but you can
yeah,
upsell it even more.
yeah. Of course, yeah. For the most part,
Oh, so how do you build that relationship?
talk to
Just
people.
talking to them and
It's just
chatting.
talking to people, going in there, like having conversations with them. Like when you show face, people like that, purchasing from them, like going into the store, making purchases, bringing them stuff, like stores like that. But people tend to remember, like I'm the gift card person, so like before I even, I'll build a relation. I'll drop you a gift card. Here's
I
twenty
just
five
gave
dollars
my postal
Starbucks on me.
carrier. Yeah.
Yeah,
I give my postal carrier one and like the thrift store that I go to and stuff as well. Like a $10 gift card to Starbucks can go like I
yeah,
can buy
because
you one coffee. It can't go that far, but it can go far in the sense of like just building like, or I'll bring them donuts or I hadn't thought about that because I sell to them frequently to like a
yeah.
Plato's but I hadn't thought about buying from them in that sense. Another one, unless you guys had more on that.
No.
Do you watch which I'm unfamiliar with selling sneakers. Do you watch which athletes are trending and close to retirement that are signature sneakers?
Yes and no. I guess the biggest thing is athletes actually have they call it PEs, they're player exclusive. So they're very hard to find unless, for example, like like the one of the biggest PEs that you can get in Jordan brand is like Ray Allen, and he's retired, but the only time Jordan makes his shoe was actually just for him. So you actually have to get it one way or another from him, or from the locker room or something like that. So PEs are very hard to find, player exclusive. Those at least the signature sneakers. But again, there are signature sneakers that are similar to what they wear. Uh, Basically, like what Michael Jordan wore on the years that he has won, have held its value because it's iconic. But obviously it's not the same as what he actually wore, because obviously it was an older technology. So over the years they have refined it. So those are, I guess, yes and no, um because they're hard to get.
So it depends on this is
Yeah,
why like immersing yourself, right? And knowing.
yeah.
it
So do you think
yeah.
like following in the sneaker realm, but also like sports as well, like just following like the trends of sports and who's being talked about and if they're releasing anything?
It's just like, I want to say it's just like following any blog or anything like that. You'll see what's like coming out, what player colors are coming out and whatnot. It's so like I for like because and I'm happy I was able to make it in the hustle be but I don't want to call it a problem, but like basketball sneakers are not as popular as they were, say, 5 or 6 years ago. There
Mhm.
was a time like every shoe that came out, like people had to have. They're mass producing, they're saturating the market.
Yep.
Nike and Jordan brand tend to saturate the mess out of the market. Then there's something in the and it's also is different by communities as well. But then there's a drought. They start taking stuff off of shelves. All the shoes that were sitting start to disappear, and like you're like, last week they were just here. I know they didn't sell. Nobody wanted them for that. They start to now they're making people hungry again. Like,
They're
okay,
creating their own market.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
so with
Which is
that, like,
hard
so
as a
you just have to
retailer because you don't
watch.
know what they're gonna do.
No, no. Yeah,
That's
you're
risky. Like, you
really
have to have a lot of capital and it's risky. Yeah,
yeah,
this is why I don't do sneakers.
you have to feel it, right? Like, I mean, that's a good call out. That there are moments when Nike sees that there's a shoe that everybody wants, they'll just literally make more of them and drop and drop and drop the same thing, and then all of a sudden they stop, and then everybody don't have it anymore. Now the build, I mean,
Mhm.
like I see Nike as a giant marketing machine, and they've done really well at.
Yeah,
It's not so much about the quality of the shoe, which I mean, Nike makes shoes. It's more about like their
Yeah,
marketing strategy,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, 100%.
yeah, smart. Southern, I'm assuming Southern Town Finds is a sneakerhead too. Or a reseller. I started with my closet, then
Southtown Finds, what up?
oh yeah, someone you know. Okay. The way they were chatting in here, I'm like, they sound like they know what they're talking about too. Retail arbitrage or clearance stores, and then new releases. So I met Hustle B at eBay Open. If you guys haven't seen some of his content, it's out there. Great content from eBay Open as well. But I met him there, and he does like a lot all retail arbitrage, and it just I want you to explain it to everyone because it kind of blows my mind that like if it's at the store, then why don't they
Mhm.
just go buy it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, minus the ones that like drop and they can't get,
Oh
but
yeah, so like
how
yeah,
does like
exactly, like the outlet stuff, right? Like that's one of
yeah,
the things that have really helped me build the business, clearance, right? Um a lot of factors, because even if it's at clearance, it has a shelf life on the clearance, and I would say it gets marked down 5 to 8 times before I buy it. So Sarah, you could walk in at Nike, and then $150 shoe would be at 89, and you would think it's a deal,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
It's
would not think it's a deal, but someone else might.
right, right. But
yeah.
I mean, like,
Somebody will,
I'm a
but we
thrifter.
we know
right,
better. We
yeah,
know better.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about
yeah,
consumer, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
right.
that's why they go to the Nike outlet. But like I've been in a phase where I wrote every price down every week, and they would just mark down, mark down, mark down, mark down, and then it would just automatically hit for $39 extra, 30% off. Now
yep,
I'm there. Now I'm buying as many as I could, and
yep,
then I could sell it on eBay for 80 bucks, 89 bucks, because if you have went there, they won't be in the wall anymore because
Yeah.
I bought them all. And if you saw it at 89, your size might not be available anymore, right? So that's the downside of going to an outlet. It's not guaranteed that that style you'll have your size. And I guess that's what the beauty of eBay is, because you will have that size. And I could give it to you at the outlet price.
Do they not? Does it like Nike outlet is an online? Like you
No,
could.
because
no,
it's the
yeah.
last end. Yeah.
But
It's
Mm.
go ahead.
go. So there's I don't know if there's still 3 levels, but I know there's definitely, so there's a Nike store,
Hmm.
then there's the Nike outlet, then there's the clearance.
The clearance. Yep.
And
But
the clearance
is
is
it
where,
the same stuff at Nike and it goes to the outlet, or do they?
Yeah.
Because there's
It's
certain
just
like
yeah.
outlets that are
it's
only like
just
only certain
it,
things are made
no,
for
it's just
the
past season items. That's what it is.
store.
It's
Okay.
just past
That's it.
season items, shelf pulls. Because Nike Air Max 2020 is coming, so 2019 gotta be off the retail store.
So it would be like when people buy liquid. Have you done liquidation? Does Nike do like liquidation?
So the biggest buyer for liquidations are I forgot the main company, are the ones that supply Marshalls, Ross, and Burlington for those Nikes.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to compete with them, and if you want to compete with them, we've tried. You have to get a 40-footer container van, and you have to have a warehouse, an industrial address before they would even take you in as a
Well,
customer.
and the amount of capital that you'd have to compete.
Not worth it because you have to sort all of them, and cream of the crop is only 10-20%. And then
Right.
now I'm a liquidation site because I'm trying to get rid of all the
Yeah.
lower end items that are not worth anything.
So you're like in between like what a liquidation, but cherry picking your
Yeah,
liquid.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, even Ross actually loses money under Nike stuff, under Nike footwear. They lose money on it, but
Because
it
they
brings
buy more than they can sell.
big no, because they just want, that's their bait for their customers to come in.
Like each item they're selling for less than but it's to get
Yeah,
people in the door.
yeah, to get
Right,
people.
which is where you can't compete because
I
you're
can't.
not getting the other
Yeah,
people in the door.
yeah,
You're
hmm,
just selling
yeah,
sneakers. Right.
correct.
Right. All right. That's interesting. I did write this down. There's another more questions, but as we were talking, you guys keep talking Nike. Obviously, Nike is like
Yeah.
where it's at.
Yeah,
I know you mentioned hookah because you do a lot more of the
Pre-owned
pre-owned
items. Yeah.
pre-owned items. So if you're looking at you're probably not always going to buy a brand, but like what are your top brands? Nike, Hookah are up there. If you're looking, someone's new and they're like, okay, I just saw this brand. Is this something I should look up? Right? Like what are your like top brands that are up there for sneakers right now?
So, like I said, and I'll always I resort back to the book. When I wrote it in like I wrote it on multiple trips to the store. When I go into the store, like when I go for like into thrift or something, I look for shoes. Obviously, you look for a Nike, whatever. Um, I look for the running shoes because they always go. People use them for different reasons. It's not just running. People need work shoes, and they don't want to spend like this. So the shoe I showed you earlier, the APL, that particular shoe runs $320 brand new. It's a very comfortable shoe, but it also has a great resale value.
Yeah.
I got this shoe. I did up pay for it, but I'm all right up paying for it because I'll still make my money 5 times over.
That's wild. The
yeah.
capital.
I mean, one call out I would say for those Hokas and those Asics, Mizuno's, just higher end. Um, I would call it, those are like the higher end dad shoes. Like the
My
no,
husband has a pair.
no, I'm telling you, because Kenny,
He
correct me if
also
I'm
has the
wrong.
New
Those are
Balances
the
too, though.
people that are past the Nike running shoes.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Yeah, for the most part, but like in all because I've done. You see, when I resorted to the used items because like I was away from New York for a little bit, and I was like, all right, so I'm not gonna be able to get like the way that I could find product and go get product in New York is different when you're other places. So I had to make. Some people can't adapt. I adapted to getting it done. Um, that's when I really got heavy into thrifting, like even more. And then like you find the shoes, they like all the stores are up. They're up pricing everything now.
Mhm.
You go in like they put every Nike at $20 at Goodwill. Every Nike, it doesn't matter what it is. It's up to $20. Every last one of them.
Mhm.
But they're still marking Hokas at $4 and change.
Right. So you got to adapt with it and know
And
what's
the Hoka will sell in 17 to 24 hours for the $50 used.
yeah.
Because even though it's been used, the people know that they'll get the comfort and level of whatever they're looking for out of that shoe. On Cloud does the same thing. I've
I'm so
sold,
sad now too.
yeah, on Cloud. This is like my seventh pair of APLs that I've gotten, and they always sold in the higher, like closer to the $100 range.
I have something to add to this conversation.
Yeah.
Sneaker shoes. So, minimal shoes. I wear minimal shoes, so I know like the Five Fingers or like Zero makes. There's a couple brands that make them. Those fly. Like I will wear my pair, like destroy them and sell them, and they will sell in a week for $50. So if you see any minimal shoes, I added something to the conversation. I'm not at the extent that you guys are at, but I do know. And when I'm out thrifting for shoes as well, I always look at the thread on running shoes like Brooks and Merrell's, and if the thread's
Mhm.
good, people will, because they're expensive. Have you ever had a pair of shoes returned to you from eBay authentication?
Yeah, it happens. But
What happens on eBay? Do you get like in trouble?
no, oh no. So when it fails, it gets returned to you. Sure, yes, but I haven't had any because I know my stuff.
Yeah, I was
But
about to say me either. Go ahead.
yeah, but the
Oh,
other
so
one,
neither one of you have
no,
sent
yeah,
No.
an item
yeah,
that was
it's,
authentic.
they're pretty good at their authentication.
Okay.
The only other time it would get if it's box got damaged through transit, yada yada yada. But also a customer can return if you have customer return allowed. The good thing about it is it has to go through eBay's authentication back to verify if
To
it's the
make
actual
sure
shoe
that they're not scamming you.
or it's not used, right? So that was the biggest hurdle for online for the longest time. Is I mean, obviously, online e-commerce buyer wins, right? But now
Mm-hmm.
with eBay authentication guarantee, it goes both ways.
I hadn't thought about that, which is smart. 'Cause
eBay.
I know, like with purses and stuff, sometimes too, or just any items, they will send
Yeah,
you back their
fake.
fake or
Yeah,
their whatever.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say Hustlebean might know, like you guys probably know as well. It was the absolute. I actually in 2015 opted out of selling on eBay, and I probably lost out on thousands of dollars, but I decided not to use eBay that whole time because it was bad. People, okay, so eBay
And so this
at
is
one point,
before they had authentication,
yeah,
right? So you
yeah,
were
yeah,
okay,
way
just to
before that.
clarify so people are following
Yeah,
you then.
people would buy a shoe. The shoe weighs 2, 3 pounds. Send you back something that's 2 or 3 pounds,
mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't be a shoe. I've gotten stuff that wasn't shoes before. I got in the wrong shoes. Poshmark, people do it on Poshmark too. Like, um, and I'm like, they'll send. I have people and like it was bad. It was really
Yep.
bad.
Has it gotten do you guys think it's gotten better? Because everyone has an authentication.
A
I
hundred
heard
percent better.
eBay's is the best
Yeah,
though. Is
I mean,
so Kenny, you're on Macari and Poshmark. Have you done their authentication through them? Is it okay? I've heard it's
I
a
haven't
great
had to.
okay.
I haven't had the issue of authentication with any of those. Usually the issues is just what's that? Buyer's remorse
Yeah.
is usually the issue, and I don't take returns for buyer's remorse.
Yeah, that's valid. Sorry, B, you were gonna say something. I
no,
cut
you're
you.
good. No, no.
Okay, are we good? On that note, because we were talking a little bit backstage before we went on, this is one of the things that is scary to people who don't know the realm. Like you guys know, you can probably look at a pair and know if it's fake, like pretty easily, right? And if you're not a sneakerhead and you don't have this background knowledge, do you have any tips on ways? Can you get things authenticated before you, like for purses and stuff, you can do authentication online. Can you do that for sneakers as well? Do you recommend people do
Yeah,
that? Like,
so
what do you
so
have?
now there are a few apps like Check. I forgot what's the other one.
There's a legit one. The one is called legit, and then
Yeah, so you could
obviously,
Oh,
take
it's called
photos.
legit. It's not just
yeah,
legit.
it's
It's called
Yeah,
called.
legit.
Yeah, in
Okay.
fact, I could
yeah.
look. I think it's
So
called
you could
legit.
send in photos and stuff like that. And one of the things that Sneaker Con does really well is you can get stuff authenticated and tagged as authentic. They actually would tag it as authentic. So even me, even high dollar sneakers, anything over $1,000, I would before I pay you, I was like, hey, go take that to the authentication booth and come back if it's if it has a tag, I'll pay
Mm,
you. So it's very conditional at that point. And also too, on the bigger scheme of things, I only would buy certain high end products like that from certain people that are known. Now, if I don't know you, and and my spider sense are saying that, like, because you're on high alert, like I am on
Yeah.
super. I'm reading your body language. I'm reading the way you talk, your mannerisms and stuff like that. If something's off, the deal's off. But what I have suppliers that they just send me like, hey, send me $1,000. You'll like this shoe. I'll send him $1,000. A shoe pops in. I'm like, oh, that was great. Text me again, right? So there's a very close community that are like that, and obviously, if they have a following or a name or a brand, they're not gonna screw you over. Now,
How
if
does one
even
get into that though? Like,
it's just
it's
building,
so
like it's
hard.
building, like I mean, like Kenny, like you have an Instagram, like even like an Instagram page, people actually have like reviews or people comment, right? And then word of mouth, like if Sarah follows me and then Kenny follows me too, and and there's could be reference. I could ask Sarah, it's like, hey Sarah, like have you dealt with Kenny? It's like he's good, he's a one on my books, like the vouching is so important. Like I vouch for people. Like if you Sarah, you come into the sneaker game and I know you know your stuff now, and I would be like, yo, buy from Sarah. If she messes up, I'll pay for it. like like
That's
that's
so
how
kind of you, Ken.
that's how hard the vouchers are.
Yeah,
Because if
yeah.
I put my like legit street vouchers like that, because I would ruin my name because I vouch for you. So
It's
you have
such
to.
a culture and community, and it's just so fascinating. I'm not getting into the game, so don't worry about vouching for me. But if anyone wants sneakers, I know I always point them to your guys' direction. I do have a question as far because it's fascinating to me, and then we'll get to some of the questions in there as well. What's the highest price sneaker you've ever sold?
Uh, Give me a
We can come
second.
back if you have to think about it.
I know mine. I recently, within the last 3 years, um, is for Travis Scott One High 1900.
I thought that was like the name of it because you guys keep throwing it out. So you sold it for 1900.
Yeah, I sold it for
Uh,
1900. Yeah,
Oh my
I
god.
bought it
I'm
So
for
going to tell you right
160.
now.
why did it go so high?
It was limited. It was Travis Scott's first Jordan 1 collaboration.
I don't know who that is. I know who Jordan is.
Yeah,
Who's Travis
yeah,
Scott?
yeah.
A basketball player?
No, he's an artist. He's a rapper.
Oh, see, I
Yeah,
don't see. And I'm also not in that culture,
yeah. I
obviously.
mean, like I'm, I'm, I'm like I only know because of that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
not a hardcore fan of like there's shoes they collab with Drake, with
Yeah,
DJ Khaled, just
I know
like
them.
different. Yeah, so like I
I'm
mean,
not that lame. I know those
right,
two.
right, like Jordan, like Mark Wahlberg, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Jordan has a collab with him,
Mm.
and his shoes are like $4,000 or $5,000.
It's just wild to me. This is also very fascinating. I
This
have a
is
go ahead.
so I know my shoe, and for what I've had, like brain fart. So when Kanye actually went over to Adidas, Hustle, help me with what was the first one? Why can't I remember the number?
The Air
The
Yeezy one.
750? No,
Oh,
the
oh,
very
oh, oh,
first,
oh, oh, the highs,
the 750, right?
the
Okay,
chocolates.
no, the black. So the all
Oh yeah,
black, the
yeah,
750s. I sold them. I sold multiple pairs, but the highest was $2,700,
yeah,
and it was same day. It
Are
was the
they
same
new?
exact day.
Were
yeah,
They're
they
brand
new?
new. Yeah,
yeah,
it was same day they came out. It
yeah.
was out of this world. Out
Yeah,
of this world.
like that moment, I actually didn't touch the first few Kanye Adidas releases because one, it was very hard to get, and it was very uncertain, right? Like, and the retail was what? That was the first shoe that was 300.
I think it was 250.
Yeah,
I have the
yeah,
receipt somewhere.
yeah. It was very high. Yeah, so at that point, I was just starting.
Not ready for that risk.
Yeah.
This is going back to the like liquidation, but I just wanted to
Mhm.
post a comment for everyone. Most of the contracts are you take everything. If they have 5, 6, 7 more or less trucks, you pay everything and receive it, no questions asked, right? Which
Yep.
you can't compete with. Duncan is asking question, do eBay buyers actually get notifications for send offers that we send? Oh, he's asking an eBay question. Because I don't get them when you go to my eBay bids offers to see them. So let me see his
I
question.
get them. I actually just got one from watching. I buy stuff too on
Oh,
eBay.
so he's asking like if we're buying and we do a
Do
like
eBay buy? Yeah, the get notification. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get a notification and you also get a notification. I learned this at eBay Open and also as a seller, it makes sense now, or as a buyer. If you creep on an item, you don't even have to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
eBay
If you keep
knows
Yeah,
if
watching,
they'll send you a notification
yeah.
yeah,
that the item is going up or somebody had. Yeah,
yeah. It's your most one of your most viewed item.
Yes. I think I don't know what I was going to say. Someone's asking how about Adidas? I think this is going back to when we were talking about like the brands that you would pick up. Is Adidas up there? Is Adidas not like I feel like Adidas is
yeah.
kind of come and gone. Is it back being cool again?
No, it's still like depending on the shoe and stuff like that, it's still doing well. Like, people still buy it. Like, okay, so this is hustle. People understand this. Look, obviously, there's retro Jordans, then there's Team Jordans. Now, a lot of people in our community won't buy Team Jordans because that's just not the thing to do.
It's not cool.
But
Why isn't it cool?
somebody out there wants that Team Jordan and they're willing to pay for it.
Mhm.
So I try to find the customer while some other people try to find the product, if that makes sense. I
Okay.
find a customer for my product while other people find a product for a customer.
So you're doing the networking, which lowers your risk, especially if you're having to put a lot of capital up front.
Yeah.
Like you're willing to spend that $50 or whatever if you
Well,
already have that customer.
back when you had to stand in line, 2 days to get, the shoe that you really needed,
Two
and you had to
days?
have. I stood in line for 3 days. The most I've ever stood in line.
Like
So three
camped out,
days,
like had a tent.
camped out. Yeah, well, not a tent, a little chair, hang out.
For
I
three
was on the
days?
block. Yeah, so I was. It was. I'll say this. It was more homely because I was down the block from the house. So the person that was in front of me, behind me, were people from the neighborhood.
Mm.
So it's like, hey, I'm gonna go home and shower, or hey, I'm gonna go grab
Oh,
something to
okay,
eat. Do
okay.
you
So go to the
want something? I'll be back. I'm right up the block. But there's other times where we've been like in the city, you can't go home. You can't go home. You have to be there.
yeah.
And we've been there sometimes 6 o'clock in the afternoon the day before, and the store doesn't open until the next day
But that's not
at
a thing
8 o'clock
anymore,
in the
right?
morning. Not in New York. Certain stores still have that
Yeah. I would
because
think that they would bring it back to kind of get rid of some of the no offense, but like some of the resellers and like fraudulent and like bots that you have of people buying stuff out.
let
Yeah,
me.
but
I'll give
there's
you.
also like shooting and
True.
like violence that happen.
eh,
Yeah.
I
Do you
don't
really
think
want
that,
like 200 people outside of your store for 3 days? Yeah.
but I don't think the violence. So I get the violence. Yeah, it's something, but I don't think that was the biggest issue. So I'll say this. As a reseller, and like I said, every market is different. But being a street reseller, if I don't have it, it's probably not hot. Because the reseller, it's in the sneaker world, makes the item. It's a hot item. Like
Yeah.
if
Right.
you're
So
the
you guys
local
are kind of
reseller
doing
in your
what
neighborhood,
Nike's doing for
yeah.
resellers, right?
Yeah.
If you're the local reseller in your neighborhood, and you don't have the item, or you didn't touch the item, even if you didn't get a couple of pairs, either it was really that hard to get, which I've never had that. Like I've had that issue once or twice, but if it's not hot, I'm not picking it up. And that's where I realized that you can make money selling the, because those other items, those other 50 sneakers that Nike makes those stores hold, because to have a certain Nike account to get those top tier items, you also got to hold so much bullshit. My bad. Um,
I know because I don't personally care,
yeah,
but they'll
yeah, yeah,
unmonetize me if there's
yeah. So the amount of BS that they have to carry in the store,
Yep.
but there's somebody that wants that. You got to
Um,
find them.
That's interesting. We have an eBay question for those on eBay. For promoted listings, do you notice the suggested ad rate keeps going up? Is this because a bulk lot of sellers are now doing higher rates? I know you just started, you sent me your promoted.
Yeah, well,
And I was like, oh my
yeah,
God, that's amazing.
I've used it before, right? And it was a great tool. And then I got shocked with how much I paid eBay,
Yeah.
and then I deleted it, and then um it's back again, right? And I just don't want to see how much I paid for it again. But
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 it's selling more. Is it selling more? Is it
yeah,
working?
I get like the thing is like you can't really test it apples to apples, right? Unless you have to make two different listings of the same item, price the same, right?
Yeah.
Which one, right? And at the end of the day, there's no such thing to capture the market. So now I'm just averaging it out. But yeah, if I'm paying 2% more for a 10% lift, I'll take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I would agree with Duncan. I think that so promoted listings came out what, 2, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and no one wanted to pay for it, right? Because
Yeah.
we all want to keep all the money. And I think slowly over time, people have started doing it more
Yeah.
and more and more,
100%.
and that's going up. eBay's gonna. I've talked about this with Anna on my Friday lives. eBay's gonna have to tap it out at some point. Sellers are not going like it can't get to 50%, right? Like it just they're
No,
gonna
no,
have to
it's
do
not.
it.
It's not. I don't think it will. I mean, at the end of the day, you can only, break even so much or lose money so much.
Right, it's gonna have to stop. So, but I do think more people are using it, which then means that
100%. Yeah, yeah.
it's driving that up. We are getting towards the end, so let me see if we have any questions. Someone had an eBay returned for not being clean enough. So it's not just authenticating, right? It's that it's like stellar condition.
Yeah, because like they authenticate used items now. So if it was, like if you didn't disclose it properly, and if it's kind of like 8 out of 10 condition, next thing you know, the authenticator finds it 5 out of 10, then they won't pass it.
Yeah.
So it's conditioned too, which is, I mean, it's good for the buyers, right?
Yeah.
And I've never sent anything to authentication,
Yeah.
so that's good to know. Do you guys have a store size you are shooting for, and how do you store your inventory?
I mean,
Um,
I'm trying to grow as big as I can. I have a
Take
1500.
over the
so
world.
Well,
I've
put it this way: I have a 1500 square foot apartment. So if it's not filled up, I'm not utilizing it. So that's my next goal.
This is
Uh,
all out of your house?
huh?
It's still
Yep.
all out of your
It's
house.
the basement. Yeah, it's the basement of my house. Yep.
yeah.
Okay. But you'll get bigger than that, or no?
Maybe we'll see.
I mean,
I
but if
I
you're
I
selling
can't. I
100%
can't.
sell-through rate, you
I
can't.
I can if I want to.
Yeah, no, I know. And you
Yeah.
and between you and JC, like
Yeah.
y'all were take over. Y'all keep an eye on Ken and JC. You don't see JC here, his wife. They're gonna take over the world. You watch. Kenny, what about you? What store size are you shooting for, and how do you store your inventory?
I actually I want to be on the more of a pop up type of style, like because I don't okay. Hustlebee can probably predict more of his inventory while I get fresh inventory daily and
Mhm.
it's different.
Yeah,
I get kids shoes, women's shoes, I get running shoes. I have like I I just like to provide people what they want as fast as I can. Like I said, like I have 3 people that are size 12 right now, and I'm waiting on a list from a size. One of my friends is size 12. He's getting rid of his whole collection. So I'm waiting for his list to come so that I can almost middleman. I'll make all my cash from the middleman of this deal.
connecting with
But
people.
yeah, just could like so I don't have to touch those shoes to make money.
Yeah. There's
So
no, so you don't have
I
to store
like
any
I don't
inventory.
yeah I would like to store maybe no more than 200 pairs at a time.
How do you store your inventory? Like, what's the best way? Yours are new in box, right, Ken?
Yeah,
Neat.
they're just in racks. Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
you
I have a
in a
shelving
box,
system.
you have them like I just am terrified in your basement. Like, what happens if you get a flood or something, Ken?
Oh, mine's a walkout basement, so it's not gonna flood.
Oh, okay. So it's just in the
I
box. You don't have them like in like I have everything in storage bins. Yours just in the
Yeah,
box.
it's in racks, and then they're like 4 inches off the ground, just in case.
Okay.
And then the
yeah.
most expensive pairs are are at the top. So my whole basement is gonna
Yeah.
be gone.
Oh, it's got one all
Run.
the way to the top.
It'll run.
What about
Um,
you, Kenny? How do you store yours?
I just shelving. Most of the shoes just right next to each other, where I could. I've been doing this like 15 years. So like I've tried every type of system. The best system, especially for you shoes, is to I have it in the shelf and I can just look and run and grab it. I try to size them when I have that much, like all the eights, then it'll be 8.5, 9, and like zigzag it. But for the most part, it's on the shelf.
We have one Adidas comment too. We are an Adidas family. Just picked up a new pair of sandals. Oh, that was in the comment I wanted to share. But P.S. I don't sell a lot of Adidas shoes. I have been moving more Adidas jackets and shirts lately. I've noticed too the vintage Adidas is coming back too, right? Like
Yeah,
vintage Nike is
Yeah,
always a
vintage
yeah,
in general. Vintage in
yeah.
general is doing good.
Well, I mean, to give you like I looked it up on Terapic, right? Last 30 days, there's 31.8 million sold on Nike brand, and Adidas is 20. So that's a 30%, difference. And then Hoka's at 2 million. So, right? So there's the big difference. So, I
yeah,
mean, it's an advantage to play on Hoka because it's easier to get to the top 10% seller there,
yeah.
right? Now
There's
to
not as,
get
but
to the
then there's
Nike,
not as many available.
right? To get to the Nike to be top 10%, you gotta hold 3 million, inventory, so to speak, if you want to take the pie. But also it's the biggest pie. So 1% of that is so big.
Yes, right. And they're easier because it's the biggest pie you're gonna like when you
Yeah,
go to a store, you see more Nikes, right?
yeah, yeah,
Where you don't see hookahs as often. It
yeah,
depends
yeah.
on them. I had one more question. Oh, I do have one more question. If you guys have a second to hang on for a
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
it's more for B. Sorry, I'm trying
Mhm.
to do the Ken and the Kenny. I don't want to
No, you
confuse it.
good.
It's more for B because he sells on eBay, and I know eBay said that they're doing the eBay lives and they're starting
Mhm.
with sneakers. Are you in that? Have you heard about it?
Um,
Do you know anything about?
Not really. It's on beta, but I am in contract with Whatnot for
Mm,
the rest of the year that I can sell in a different platform as far as live selling. Um, but that's me knowing that eBay is a giant company. It's a giant ship, so it takes a while for them to turn.
right.
And if they ever turn quick, I'll be surprised.
Well,
But
I wondered if you were in part of the beta. I wanted some of
yeah,
their.
like the today was Linda's stuff, right? For the clothing. I think they're gonna try to do everything, but it's not auction. That's the thing.
Oh, I did. I missed at eBay Open. I missed the whole thing.
Yeah,
So
it's not
it's just
auction.
my.
It's just show. It's more like a show and tell kind
Um,
of by it now. So I mean, even that Poshmark is ahead of eBay.
I am thoroughly surprised that Poshmark had it together.
Yeah,
Because they're big companies, right? To like
right.
have it, and
Yeah,
their beta is actually not. I did a post show yesterday. I'm ending it now. I did a post show yesterday. We'll chat more about it with Anna
yeah.
on Friday if you guys want to come back and learn more about it and how it went
Yeah.
for me. But I was thoroughly Poshmark in general is kind of a mess sometimes. But their beta was actually surprisingly smooth for
Mhm.
as quick as they got it out. There's a
Yeah,
couple hiccups, but it was not bad at all. So
yeah.
thank you guys so much for joining and sharing your knowledge with us. If you guys
Thank
are
you
not
for having
following the
us.
Hustle Bee and Wealthy Knowledge, definitely follow them on social media. It is linked down below. They are just a wealth of knowledge and definitely always very helpful whenever I have questions or just, questions in general. So thank you guys so much. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, what is today, Wednesday? And I will see you on Friday with Anna for just our weekly chat. Come with all your questions and we'll be talking about our week. I did a Poshmark Live, so that'll definitely be on the agenda. So
All right.
have a good day.
Sure, sure,
All
sure.
right.
See ya. Thank
See
you.
you.